When we talk of 7 Ps of marketing, of course, you guys know, as we're being told here, you guys know very well that 7 Ps marketing, it basically provides a holistic approach to marketing, considering not only the product itself. Most of us concentrate on the product, and of course, pricing. But I mean, there is more to that. Not only the product itself, but also the various factors that contribute to its success in the market. The framework is often used in both traditional and digital marketing strategies. These 7 Ps are, number one, we have the product. It refers to the actual goods or services that a company offers to meet the needs of its target market. So the product, is it yellow in color? I mean, if it's a college like this, what service are we offering? So this includes product features, design, quality, and branding. So that's the product. This is what you're selling in the market. This is our product. Then number two, the second item under 7 Ps of marketing is the price. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would want to, of course, succeed in business quite a lot, know that customers are price sensitive. Depending on the kind of product you're planning to sell or whether you have just introduced in the market, you must know the entry point in terms of price. So price involves determining the right pricing strategy for the product or service. This includes considering factors such as production cost, competitor pricing, and the perceived value by the customer. There is no way you'll be able to do a proper pricing if you don't know the cost, because for you to get the cost, you need to tell us how much it costs you, for example, in terms of materials, labor, overheads, and then you get the total cost, and then you add a profit to get price. But you see, at times you'll say, fine, the cost is 100, my profit is 10%, that gives me profit margin of 10, so the proper price should be 110. What if your competitors are selling this thing at 90, 80? To get started, I would rather you use what we call a market penetration strategy. Charge a lower price a little bit, finance this product a little bit. After, say, 3-4 months, then you'll be able to get to the proper pricing, which will be able to give you a profit. So we are being told here for pricing, you must always know the right strategy to pick, considering costs, considering your competitors, and of course, considering your demand. Then we have place. It focuses on the distribution channels used to make the product or service available to the marketplace. This includes decisions related to the location of sales outlets, logistics, and supply chain management. Ladies and gentlemen, if there is anything that most of these multinational companies excel in, it is this placement. If you go to Carrefour today, what you'll be able to see there is that there are flagship brands. For example, we have LG. LG cannot give you their products in a supermarket if you don't assure them of particular positions. And in this case here, they have their agents who are even there to guide customers. So that agent is not employed by who? By Carrefour, no. These are, ladies and gentlemen, the producers here, people are there to just ensure that the product is placed appropriately. Very, very important. Placement, distribution, how you distribute this thing, distribution channels are very, very important. Ladies and gentlemen, we have here the promotion aspect. This is where we get it wrong, most of us. Promotion aspect, we get it wrong, most of us. And the promotion, it encompasses all the activities a company uses to communicate the value of its product or service to the target market. This includes advertising, public relations, sales promotions, and other promotional strategies. Then we have the people aspect, recognizes the importance of personnel in delivering representing the product or service. This includes customer service, sales staff, and anyone else who interacts with customers. Ladies and gentlemen, like these multinationals, like the one that I work for, anybody in this case who is at the front desk, anybody in this case who deals with the clients directly, has to be taken care of very well by the company. Because, this is the face of the organization. So when you have taken care of these employees who are automatically dealing with customers directly, then automatically, ladies and gentlemen, you'll be able to boost your sales, because these guys will be going outside there with a lot of enthusiasm. They'll be passionate when they are selling this product. So the concept of people, that's very important. Then we have the processes. refers to the systems and processes used by a company to deliver its products or services to customers. Efficient and effective processes contribute to customer satisfaction and operational success. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one area that, again, is overlooked by most of these local businesses here. What processes do we have? Right away from production, right away from how we are even procuring our raw materials, we shall ensure that processes are automated. We shall ensure that if it's, for example, a distribution channel process, we shall ensure that we sublet. Like you can see what Diageo, EABL is doing with their production, not production, but distribution systems. They have been able to outlet this to DHL. I mean, DHL wakuambia watakuwa mahali fulani by saa moja. Haizo kuja saa moja dakika tano. Their processes are very efficient. So processes must be very efficient, because otherwise, what will happen is that we shall market the product aggressively. We tell people, when you come to Nakumatt, you need it, we've got it. When people go there, they get nothing, simply because you have got what we call bottlenecks in your processes. So processes shall be efficient, and as much as possible, they shall be what? Yeah, they shall be automated. They shall be automated. Once the processes are okay, the brand and its value. Now, you know, RCM Online College, ladies and gentlemen, we had 100% gotten off any physical trainings. But at the beginning of this year, we got so many parents who are concerned, who are calling us. Fine, we hear that you guys have a good name, but at least you should be having some physical presence, even if it's in a very small way. And that's why we said, fine, even if it's a small space, let's get back to Stand Bank there, and then we shall be able to do what here? We shall, so that when a parent comes, you know, parent paying for online still services is not very, very easy. People doubt. But when you have a physical presence, someone will be able to say, fine, I want my son to study online, but at least I've been able to touch, I've been able to see. There is something tangible. So in talk of physical evidence, we are talking of tangibility. I mean, you need, you know, like before we reach this level, like where Uber, you know, Uber, you can't even know where the offices are. Before you reach that level, in terms of marketing, you need this physical presence. So whenever they talk of the 7 P's of marketing, ladies and gentlemen, what are those P's that you guys will never forget? I check my internet. No, mine is very good. I'll never have a problem with my internet. I'll never have a problem because I have 2 service providers. Yeah, people. I can't forget people. I can't forget price. I can't forget the processes. I can't forget the physical evidence, the place. Great. Oh, wanasema nimehang wengi, then it could be maybe I need to change the service provider. Are you guys able to really follow? I'm so sorry. Wanasema it will be awesome from Wednesday. It will be a wonderful week. Crazy week, no. Wonderful, trust you me. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Now is okay. Uko poa. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Just a minute. Great. I'm going through the things that you have told me to look at, the ones that you have a problem, the ones that you guys have a problem. And one of the guys here, maybe God has spoken to them. They want us to talk about benchmarking. Benchmarking briefly. Mwalimu talk about benchmarking briefly. Mwalimu talk about benchmarking briefly. That will be very nice. So I'm sharing my screen here. But basically, when we talk of benchmarking, ladies and gentlemen, we are basically looking at the comparisons. I mean, you can't afford to live you are alone in the market. No, we need to be able to compare our services to what our competitors, for example, are doing for purposes of what here? For purposes of improvement. So benchmarking, ladies and gentlemen, basically involves comparing a company's processes, products, or performance metrics against those of the industry leaders or best-in-class organizations. I'm not sharing. I need to share this. I need to share this. Then remember, it's a high level. I'm not going like details. No, it's just high level. You must agree about that. It's high level. It's high level. Okay, so benchmarking here is a strategic management tool that involves comparing a company's processes, products, or performance metrics against those of industry leaders or best-in-class organizations. Basically, we benchmark to identify areas for improvement, to learn from best practices, and enhance overall performance. What are the key types of benchmarking that you guys are able to remember? Are you able to give me the types of benchmarking very fast? Is there somebody who can give me the types of benchmarking that you guys are able to remember? Types of benchmarking that you guys are able to remember? Of course, internal is already there. I know you have seen it. Thank you, Ambogo, for repeating. Remember, in internal benchmarking, we are basically comparing like two employees within the company. We are comparing two divisions within the company. We are comparing departments, right, within the same organization. So, for example, where I work, there is one department, and of course, it is not my department, which is normally taken to be the best. Anytime my boss is talking about good performance, they always tell us, refer to those other guys. These other guys are pretty good in terms of processes, all right? All right. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, we normally go for internal benchmarking for purposes of promoting cross-functional learning. Cross-functional, a function is a department. Cross-functional learning. Cross-functional learning. Thank you so much, Martin. At least that one, Martin, you've done well. Great. Share the document. Yes, I'll share the document. Yes, but first of all, I would want us to... Jackie, functional benchmarking is pretty similar to internal. It is actually one of those internal benchmarking because we are comparing various functions. Functions are basically like a department. We have comparative benchmarking. So for example, now that we would want to become a university in the next, say, 5 years, I have to begin comparing our processes, in this case with Strathmore. That's comparative benchmarking. Comparative benchmarking, I love that. Comparative benchmarking, I love that. I love that. I love that. Comparative benchmarking, you're comparing yourselves, in this case here with what here? With your competitors. With your competitors. And then we have, I can't see guys mentioning this, the generic benchmarking. Generic, yes, I can see Jay mentioning generic. This is quite general. Now here, I'm going out of my industry. I'm going out of my industry to look for best class company. So for example, assuming today I'm working for Kenya Airways. No, not Kenya Airways. Assuming in this case here today, yes, I'm working for Kenya Airways. I would want to know, for example, why Ethiopian airline is beating us in terms of profitability, then that automatically will be what, when I compare Kenya Airways with Ethiopian airline, automatically there, I'm doing what we call comparative benchmarking. Because Ethiopian is a competitor to us, and we'll be able to learn. Like, ladies and gentlemen, I told you sometimes back here, Ethiopian Airways is able to defeat Kenya Airways basically because of simple things like people. If you see, for example, some of the people that Kenya Airways is employing as their air hostesses and hosts, I mean, they are old. You'll get in this case here somebody who is 50-something being a air host or air hostess. We're not saying that we are bad. People are approaching 50 years, lakini tunajua kusema ukweli, kuna ujinga fulani ambao inataka miaka fulani. Kama for example ujinga ya kusema ni ndege kubwa Boeing 777, watu kama 600 wanatoka kwa ndege, wakitoka wanaenda namna hii. And then there is a person there who is just at the exit there asking people, I mean, how was your flight? Next time in this case you fly with Ethiopian. Always consider Ethiopian Airways. And that lady is smiling throughout. You smile throughout for an hour. Inataka kuwa umekuwa miaka fulani, ukipewa 300,000, you can even smile the whole day. But ukiwa 50 saa kama mimi nakaribia 50 saa hizi, as much as I would want that kind of a job, I mean, I've got so many other things that are beckoning for my attention. Niko na mtoto anafaa kwenda Januari wapi? Nita smile kidogo, emotions. Unajua kuna miaka unafika, unaanza kuwa na kama bipolar. See bipolar, the two sides, although the bipolar is a disease, but it may not be that serious, but you have many mood swings. Mara umefurahi, mara umekasirika. Mara umefurahi, mara umekasirika. Unaona? Hiyo kitu wanafunzi, I mean, watu wadogo wa 22 years, ukishamchapa 300,000, hiyo hana, atakaa hapa atasmile throughout. International is a disaster. So you're able to learn that. And then, for example, this Kenya Airways, ladies and gentlemen, it scares, yes. You can see now Jay is saying the truth. It scares. Being an adult is not a simple thing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why I normally tell my friends to take care of their parents. We should take care of our parents. If there are any people who are really fearing, they have a lot of fear which is unexplained. It is our dads, it's our moms at that age 70. So if you take that kind of a person, make an air host, mtoto amejimes kidogo namna hiyo, wale wa Ethiopian, kama mtoto amejimes kidogo anakimbia mbio nakwambia mtoto mdogo darling, it is, make mtoto anafurahi. Huyu mtu ako karibu 60 years. Hata anapiga mtoto kofi pa mwambie kwanza behave. So when we talk of, for example, Kenya Airways, going, for example, to Radisson Blu, they start looking at the process of Radisson Blu. They are comparing themselves with Radisson Blu. Are they able to learn something from them? Yes. That is generic, because now we have gone outside what here? Outside our industry. All right. So I did not see you guys mentioning very many of them. I didn't see. You can also do what we call international benchmarking. Like in this case here, our county governments are very good at doing international benchmarking. Do you know why they like international benchmarking? And do they really per diem? Yes, it's per diem. They go outside there, they learn nothing. But at least from that example, yes, Gladys, yes. So hiyo ni international benchmarking. Alafu ukimaliza hii sasa, so unaweza kuja kwa hii ingine internal benchmarking, you can split it. Internal benchmarking, for example, we have functional benchmarking, we have, for example, processes benchmarking, etc. I hope that is very clear. And we'll be able to get notes. Is that okay? Then somebody has also told me to speak something about the balance scorecard. Very popular in your exams. Description of the balance scorecard as a strategic tool of management. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, it will be very important for you to know that what is being balanced really? What is it? I'm good. What are we balancing here? We are balancing between quantitatives and the qualitatives. We are balancing between quantitative money and the qualitative aspects here. The ones which are what here, the ones which are non-quantifiable. We are balancing between futuristic goals and, of course, in this case here, short-term. So we are balancing between long-term and what here, short-term goals. In most cases, most companies, 99.9 companies in Kenya, ladies and gentlemen, only look at short-termism. We are myopic. All of us are looking at how do we maximize 2023's profits. So you send, in this case here, CEO, and you're only telling them that among the performance metrics we want you to only consider the profits of 2023. So this guy will not think about the long-term vision of the business. Because if he thinks about the long-term vision of the business, then he will not be able to maximize this year's profits. Because if he's thinking about long-term vision of the business, he'll take employees to trainings. If he takes employees to trainings to prepare them, to develop them for the future, then the current income statement will suffer because of the training fees. So you see now the guy will hold back on that. Anaanza kuwa na wafanyikazi, walikuwa nawaambia kwa last class, wafanyikazi ambao ni maembe. Unamwambia hivi hatajielewi because in terms of professional continuous development, zero. This guy will not even buy new assets because he knows if he buys new assets, then the net assets value will increase, his return on investment will go down. We have what we call ROI. ROI has a negative relationship with assets bought. So somebody, if you would want to maximize on your ROI, you will always hold on to what here? Old assets. And that is why they came and said, hey, let's talk about balanced scorecard. As much as we want this short-term profit here to increase, we would want, ladies and gentlemen, also people to think about what here the few companies that think about future, for instance, have got research and development departments. These kibanda kind of businesses, they don't know what is R&D. You know, R&D, you could discover something, you can start working on something that you shall discover, which can, for example, come into fruition even after 50 years. You see, 50 years is long term. But you see, I would rather invest in this today. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you talk of a balanced scorecard, you're supposed to always think about what year? You're supposed always to think about, let me just share this document, which is very, very important for you to see. This is very, very good. Very, very good. Very, very good. And you're understanding everything here. Don't tell me to share the document later, because students who tell me to share the document, they want to postpone thinking. They want to understand later. And me, I want them to understand now. I'll share, but please don't have that in mind. Let's read like we will not have this document. Let's read like we will not have a document. Now, ladies and gentlemen, pretty fast, I'm sharing this handout here. But of course, with caution that we are studying here, like we will never get the document. It's like you're studying here to go to the exam. So I'm sharing this for you to be able to see what I'm doing. All right. So balance scorecard, here we are. The balance scorecard is a strategic management tool that provides a comprehensive framework for translating an organization's strategic objectives into a set of well-defined performance metrics. It goes beyond financial measures to include non-financial indicators, providing a more holistic view of performance. The balanced scorecard typically consists of 4 perspectives. Do you know those perspectives yourselves? Do you know those perspectives yourselves? Do you know them? Do you know those perspectives yourselves? The 4 perspectives. Yeah, we have financial perspective. We have the customer perspective. We have the processes perspective. Process perspective. We have what we call learning and growth. Please write them down. Learning and growth. Write them down. Write them down. Na kumbe mnajua, na mbona mnaniuliza maswali mnajua? Kumbe mnajua. Kumbe mnajua. Kuna haja kweli ni explain kweli? Kuna haja ku explain kweli ama hii mnajua? Or you want me to explain? Naona kama mnajua. Because okay, explain. Okay, then very fast because naona hamko mbaya sana. Ladies and gentlemen, under financial perspective, Under financial perspective, 4 of them, the 4 perspectives: financial, customer, then we have what we call processes or internal processes. And then number 4, we have what we call learning and growth. So we start with a financial perspective. Financial perspective, if you want everything to be balanced, and ensure that our ratios are healthy, and ensure that revenue is going up, and ensure that cost is contained, and ensure that cost is contained. Revenues go up, costs must be contained. Okay, Lillian, we don't talk of lowering cost really. Cost, if you start lowering them, you'll really affect the business, but containing them is the key thing. And of course, I appreciate what you're saying there. Containing them would mean at times, in this case, you're firing, like Safaricom today. These guys are doing very well in terms of finances, but they're still firing people. There's retrenchment. Look at CIC, big institution. And the other day I saw it's like they are looking at retrenching their workers. All right. Not that they are stupid, it's because they know the balance scorecard. Revenue increase. If you want long-termism, if you want what we call longevity, revenue should increase, but cost should always be maintained. And if you possible, keep on lowering. Especially if I were you. In these exams, I'll be able to talk about more things about automation. For example, automation, and show you automate processes to lower the production costs. I can talk about this balance scorecard the whole day. From there, we go to the customer perspective. So customer perspective, we look at 4 things. Number 1, we have customer acquisition. Number 2, we have customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction. Number 3, we have customer loyalty. Customer loyalty. Number 4, lastly, we have awareness. Awareness. Let me know whether you've been able to write down those customer perspective elements, 4 of them. Let me know whether you've been able to write them. Thank you so much. Now, under customer perspective, if you are the CEO, you must always ensure that you are acquiring customers every day. The people who are at the reception there, you must ensure that if they're able to deliver, pay them more than even what you are paying the CEO. Look at, for example, ladies and gentlemen, most of these big insurance companies. Some insurance agents are earning more than what the company CEO is earning, because they understand that the most important thing is acquisition. And they tell us, I wish we had time. And that's why I normally share with you these ACCA books, because they have this knowledge. Even after you pass, please ensure that those ACCA books, you bind them and use them. Because they tell you, for example, if it's a school like RCM, every time there are any suspects or prospects, we start by calling people suspects. Suspects is not a very bad term. Suspect, we are just suspicious that you may be interested. Any suspects or prospects should always be written in some document. We should always have, in this case, a log of anybody who calls the school, anybody in this case who writes an email. Always let them be documented. And then as a CEO, always have that information by the end of every day. You must have what we call a sales pipeline every day. At the end of the month, you must measure the performance. If, for example, we had, say, 3 or 10 suspects, end of the month, you call each of those suspects and prospects. If you realize that these ladies or gentlemen have been able to convert, say, like 8 of them, 8 out of 10, if the conversion rate is 8 out of 10, ACCA says pay those guys handsomely, because they're the ones who are baking the cake for the company. But if you realize, for example, out of 10, nobody has been converted, even 1, 0. ACCA says, don't even train those people. Fire them. Fire them. They're very useless. They'll not learn anything. They'll not be able to be useful. But if they have done, for example, conversion like 1, 2, below 50%, but not 0, just train them and ensure that you motivate them. It's called customer acquisition. As you guys endeavor to become CEOs outside there, I would want you to prioritize customer acquisition. That's a key area under the customer perspective. From there, find you have acquired customers. Number 2, ensure that the customers are satisfied. Let there be very few complaints in the system. Be administering, in this case, satisfaction questionnaires and have that rate index, of course, looked at keenly. Place your thumb on the satisfaction levels in the company. Customers should be happy. The more happy customers you have, the more referrals will be getting in the future. Then we have loyalty. most of us are not doing very well. Even RCM, online college, you're not doing very well in terms of loyalty. For example, there must be somebody in this room that have taught from CPA section 1 or even ATD. Now they are at the apex finishing, and I've never given you even a pen. Imagine with all that business you have given us. Ladies and gentlemen, when you're outside there, you must always ensure that you have a loyalty program. Like Safaricom, they have Bonga points. Nakumat, when they used to be Nakumat, they used to tell us if you need it, we've got it, and they used to give us the Zawadi points. They used to give us the Zawadi points. So even as RCM, perhaps we should come up with something where we say like, for next semester, when you come to BD and you have been with us from the very beginning, perhaps we give it to you for free. For free. We give you like one course for free. I mean, we need a loyalty program. We need a loyalty program. We need a loyalty program. Loyalty program. The companies za wazungu zinapenda sana loyalty. Oh, loyalty from Orbit. What is the name of this guy? Wow. Wow. Great. Sijaona jina yake. Oh, it's Christine, my friend. Great. We should talk. Great. Ladies and gentlemen, from there we have the last facet of this customer perspective called awareness. You must always keep your customers aware, informed of new products, of even the old products. Keep on reaching out to your customers. Keep on reaching out to your customers. Advertise to them. And the suspects outside there, you must also advertise to them. Because, ladies and gentlemen, where we fail, why in this case here we have, for example, there must be somebody here in this room who is running a very small kiosk, in this case here in Mathare North. It's not bad, but trust me, you can do better if you knew how to publicize your product. With this, I mean, social media. If you know how to publicize your product, within not even a year, you can really make money out of what here. So publicity, awareness. If you're not making people aware of your product, then automatically you are just covering everything under the blanket. You will never grow as an organization. Hiki kusema kwamba chama cha jiuza, kibaya cha jitembeza, makosa. Siku hizi takani kizuri aje lazima utoke nje, utembeze, watu waone, uweze kuuza. Bure, international disaster. So that's customer perspective. Is it clear now? Customer perspective, acquisition, satisfaction, loyalty, awareness. And then please, whenever it comes to marketing, like awareness, always work with consultants. If you can, it may look a bit expensive, but always look at a company like 𝐂𝐴BL. 𝐂𝐴BL, they are very good. Look at the messages they craft. They know that we here are not even their clients in terms of beer. Because if you look at it this way, in our times, people used to drink like 10, like even 20, like a whole crate. Nowadays, I don't know whether it's this food that we're taking. You'll get a man, in this case, sleeping somewhere on the trenches. When you follow back, you realize that they only drank 2 bottles. So 𝐂𝐴BL knows that they have really gone down in terms of consumption per person, but they would want to recruit new people. That's why all their slogans are basically targeting high school students. They're simply targeting high school. That if you want to roar like a lion, drink, in this case here, don't even remember those brands. If you would want micro power, Guinness is here for you. Andrew, Nyundo, Abraham, we know that there is nothing like micro power in Guinness. But your son, once they get that kind of a message, they would want to try. So in this case here, there are messages are very targeted to particular audiences. And I would want you to be having messages in your companies that are targeted like that. That's why I gave you that example. Unapata mtu atasa ameshika, ni kama saa mimi nianze kushika flyer za RCM. Ataenda kwa soko, huko kwa soko kama ni Nyeri ama Karatina, the biggest soko in East Africa. Naanza kupata flyer moja moja. Out of those, I mean, how many people will I get? That's a waste. I would rather in this case here have, for example, if it's Facebook, I'm able to target. That's what we call, when I sponsor my post in Facebook, I target them. And how do I target them? These are secret. So for example, I know the biggest schools, the ones in this case which are very popular. So I'll go and instruct my robot, tell my robot that in case somebody comes searching for visions on Google, let my advert be the first one too. So I target like that. So I target people who are searching for KNEC. I target them. You know, it's a secret that very many people will not give you, but those are things that we can discuss after your exams. It's called targeting. tunawafunza business, lakini watu wengi hawajuangi business. Watu wengi hawajuangi business, but we'll talk about that. Search engine optimization is great thing, yes. Great thing, yes. I hope, Moses, you normally apply it at your workplace. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, after that, we are looking at the third quadrant. Third quadrant is what we call the internal processes. Internal processes. So on the internal processes, what do we do? Everything should be automated. Automated. Under internal processes, management, we talk of what here, having managers who are agile. Agile. We call this one agility. Agility is all about being able to respond to situations very fast. Being able to smell the kind of innovations which are needed for future. Agility. And then remember, the management must really be a modern management system that you have. Please, you guys, I'm so sure you are going to be very, very successful. Once you become very, very successful and you have your own businesses, never put very close people that you really would want to micromanage. No, you should be able to put people there that you work with who are able to tell the king or the queen when they are naked. When you have issues, they'll be able to tell you, hey, here, you're eating company's money. You should have people who are competing with you in the company, competing in terms of ideas. Never fear competition. Competition, ladies and gentlemen, sharpens individuals. Just like, for example, like when I'm teaching AFR, I would want to have somebody who is even better than me in AFR at RCM. All right. So that with competition, I can also be learning something. I can also be learning something. All right. So in terms of management, ensure that management for the processes to work, we are talking of agile managers. We are talking of managers who know modern systems. Let me read this one. Moses saying, I say I joke, where managers didn't do any planning of the organization when asked why they didn't put a plan in place. They said they are agile. So it is the opposite. It is, you know, okay, even if, ladies and gentlemen, in this case here, for example, an emergency has a reason, of course, I know, in this case here, agility means that you should be able to run in like a ninja and act. But also agility, my friend Moses, please don't confuse here. Agility also means you sitting down and thinking, what will be able to, we must make changes to our processes. We must even change the products. Unaangalia, hii product, ni kwani watu hawapendi product kwa hii region? Hawapendi product kwa hii region, for example, ni color ya packaging. Na maybe hii color ya packaging unauza color blue. Na unauza kitu, for example, kitu ya Machako, so kama wanataka yellow. All right, I'm sorry to use that example, but here, agility means being able to make changes as fast as you can, because the world is not standing here. The world is on the move every day. So you're called in this case here upon to be what here? To be agile, and agile also needs what here? Some kind of planning. Thank you, Moses, for bringing that up. Agility. Agility. It also means flexibility, being able to bend. Unajua kuna mtu kwa biashara anaenda kumwambia idea, anakuambia mimi sifanyangi vitu hivyo. Ufanyangi vitu hivyo. Hiyo ishapita na wakati wa language. Saizi lazima hata kama mtoto wako anakuongelesha, lazima usikize kwa umbali, usikie anasema nini, because they could be making sense. They could be making sense. Ufanyangi vitu hivyo, ufanyangi vitu aje. There are better ways of doing things. Kama I always learn. Like there is a place I went, nili kufunza watoto at 3/4 plus 4/5. Neka LCM, ati ni ngapi LCM? Nikaona hakuna mtu anaandika hata mmoja. Kidogo sana nilimaliza kuandika, mtoto akasimama mdogo tu akaniambia, what if I did kitu cross multiplication? Ikaingiana mara moja, nikajihurumia. Things are changing. We need to be agile. And again, ladies and gentlemen, remember, just allow me to get my headsets. All right. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, so when we talk of processes, for processes to work, managers, ladies and gentlemen, must be kept abreast of new developments in the market or in the body of management. So, for example, if you have managers who do not know Umbwa is a new concept in management. Umbwa is management By walking what here? By walking around. So you have managers, their work is to sit on some comfy chairs, yellow, red chairs, they're swinging all over and they're expecting everybody to work except for themselves. Then that company will not go far because they don't understand. In this case, you're modern. I mean, you are the custodian of the company's information processes, etc. etc. So you need to be, of course, you should be the fastest learner. So you need to be moving around, talking to your staff, etc. So it will be very important, ladies and gentlemen, for us to be what here, to know those modern systems, even some old systems, like the Henry Fayol's principles. Henry Fayol's principles are quite old, but they ring in any organizations every other day, thing that they do. Fayol's 14 principles are very, very important. Like if you have workers who are not disciplined, processes will not work. If you have workers, in this case, ladies and gentlemen, who are coming to work, no, they'll not work. So processes, that's very, very important. So ladies and gentlemen, if they bring this question of balance scorecard, will you be able to answer answer the question in terms of processes, at least in your own way, internal processes? Like processes here should work. Processes here should work. All right. Thank you. Great. And then lastly, we have the internal, or rather learning and what here? Learning and innovation. Learning must be continuous. The last perspective, yes, is learning and innovation, or learning and growth. Learning and growth. Just a minute. Give me 2 minutes. I also need to charge this laptop. Just a minute here. Questions there. Processes, can they reduce wastage? Yes, that's why we want processes here to be automated if possible. The moment wastage is reduced, then automatically we have, ladies and gentlemen, what here? Financials increasing. Remember, those perspectives are related. All of them feed onto the financials of the company. All right. I also saw some other question up there. Using a balanced scorecard approach, explain 5 approaches a manufacturing company could use to evaluate its internal processes. Great question over there. I'll be able to tackle it once, in this case here, I finish the entire. Yeah, please use this forum to ask questions. All right. Use this forum to ask questions. So from there, we have, lastly, ladies and gentlemen, if I just put my camera on, from there, we have the last one, which is learning and what here? Learning and innovation. Learning and innovation, learning and innovation. So under learning and innovation, you are required, you as a manager, to ensure that your employees are trained often on a continuous basis. If they're trained often on a continuous basis, then automatically they shall become what here? Innovative. They shall be able to come up with new things, new ways of doing things. So in this case, if they're trained, we expect there to be innovation. And when there is innovation, there is what here? What we call growth. What we call growth. And of course, when there is this innovation, then the company's longevity will be there. The company's longevity will be there. So if you allow Mwalimu here, Mwalimu will be able to read this thing very fast. Will be able to read this thing very, very fast. This is so important. Yeah, the balance scorecard. So you can see the financial perspective focuses on financial outcomes and measures such as revenue growth, profitability, ROI, and cost reduction. Customer perspective concentrates on customer-related objectives and measures that drive customer satisfaction and loyalty. Internal business process perspective examines the internal process critical to delivering value to customers and achieving financial success. Learning and growth focuses on the organization's ability to innovate, learn, and adapt. The key components of a balanced scorecard include objectives have to be there. Clear, concise statements of what the organization aims to achieve in each perspective. Measures, the KPIs, quantifiable indicators that track progress towards achieving objectives. Targets, specific goals or benchmarks that define success for each measure. Initiatives, yes. Action plans. When you attend any meeting on balance scorecard, they are so big in terms of asking you, what is the next action, next course of action? The action plans must be there. Strategic actions or projects designed to help achieve these objectives. The balance scorecard offers several benefits as a strategic management tool. Holistic view. This has been asked before. Holistic view provides a balanced perspective by considering financial and non-financial aspects of performance. Alignment ensures that the day-to-day activities align with the company's long-term strategic goals. It is a communications tool, facilitates communication of the strategy to all levels of the organization. It will help us to measure our performance. It will help us, in this case, to focus in the long-term, strategic focus, guides decision-making by keeping focus on the critical success factors identified in the strategy. Adaptability allows organizations to adapt their strategies over time as market conditions change. So, ladies and gentlemen, among us, those advantages of using balance scorecard, which ones will you never forget? Advantages of using the balance scorecard. Which ones will you never forget? Just high level. Even if there are three, I only want three advantages of balance scorecard. There are 39 messages. The holistic view, it helps us communicate. Actually, it brings very many departments together. There will be a lot of collaboration. So communications. The concept of strategic focus. You guys are geniuses. I mean, you guys are very bright. Adaptability. It will help us because of the innovation. We shall not die. We shall not die as a company. Yasin Chalambo, holistic view, he has been able to give us like all the points. Thank you very much. Alignment of what we do on a day-to-day basis with our strategic overall goal as a firm. I love that. All right. And then there is this question that this person has asked there. Very important question here. If I can just repeat it. Using a balanced scorecard approach, explain 5 approaches a manufacturing company could use to evaluate its internal business processes. Some of these terms are really misplaced, like approaches. No. So, ladies and gentlemen, in this case here, what are those criteria that you could use to evaluate a company's internal processes? The criteria that you can use to evaluate a company's internal process. I don't have a very, very good answer to this, ladies and gentlemen, but I can try my best. So the criteria, I would get, ladies and gentlemen, for example, to know from my clients, I will be able to give them, for example, a questionnaire, which will help me evaluate their satisfaction levels. Are they satisfied? If clients are not satisfied, chances are my internal processes are wrong. They are wrong. They are faulty. They are giving, in this case here, for example, lectures are being missed, etc. So we have another criteria that I would want to use apart from satisfaction is the quality management. And the quality management, ladies and gentlemen, I would want to see, of course, if they have a quality department, I would really be interested in seeing the output of the items that are coming from these processes. Things like production efficiency. Are there production quantities, in this case, increasing every other day? If you look at EABL's annual report, which I read for you the other day, for the students that I'm teaching the AFR class, morning class, these guys are telling us gallons of beer that they're producing every other day, their production quantities are doing what here increase, meaning, ladies and gentlemen, straight away that their systems are working. Their systems are working. Their systems are working. Ladies and gentlemen, for systems to be said to work, these internal systems here, I would be interested in a metric like, for example, new products being produced, new product development. If there are no new products that are being produced, ladies and gentlemen, it means that my internal processes, there must be a problem. Because anytime like where I work, we do a lot of process management. And the process management, for example, we have what we call quality circles. If there is an employee who has, for example, an idea, they're supposed to come and document it down. And in our processes here, for example, database, we need that information. So as we talk about innovation on the other side, but at least we have a processes that are able to enable us to do research and development, etc. So these are the kind of things you look at. Simple things like, for example, how the supply chain management is being done. Supply chain management is a key thing that will help me, ladies and gentlemen, in this case, to evaluate whether my internal processes are working. Ladies and gentlemen, I would really be looking at the people aspect. Are the people in this case here motivated? When I realize that the labor turnover is very, very high, it could be as a result of internal processes are not right. You get an employee, onboarding is not being done very well. This guy has just come like this. He's rained on, would want to understand how the company is working, and then all of a sudden you're giving this guy what here, a lot of stuff. This guy will resign. So processes in this case here basically are not working in that case. What kind of points do you have there? Let me see the kind of points that you guys have there. Nobody has been able to add anything. I mean, what are the key performance indicators? KPI is key performance indicator. Yeah, like employee competence, Marcia, I'll give you employee competence. If we have processes, of course, we must have our whole routine, which talks about what here are training people. Employee competence, I'll give you. Remember, in this leadership and management, there is no wrong answer. There's no wrong answer so long as you're able to do what you to defend it. So long as you're able to defend it. Oh, we were listening to your points. Okay, no problem. We shall overcome. Is there any other area before I give you the next thing to do? Is there any other area you would want Mwalimu to talk about before I make further pronouncements? Because I would want to make pronouncements here. Any other topic that would want Mwalimu to talk about? Like these models of change, which model are you looking at? Which model are you looking at? Do you know them? These models of change. These models of change, because I gave you a very good book. I gave you a very good book on change management. Lewin already have done that. Theories of management. Let me just get this book. I show you something. Already you guys have everything. You'll be surprised. You have everything. You'll be surprised. Like this Baldrige. Baldrige is very, very popular. Very popular. There's one that I'm looking for. Ah, great. But you guys have this book and you should be able to read it. You should be able to read it. I know you don't have the time. If it's Lewin, at least you guys have Lewin. I gave you his 2 theories. Change management, of course, first of all, we said if it's Lewin, you must always think about what here and freezing. Because change ikija, watu waogopa sana changes. Watu wameboeka pale, wamekuwa kama barafu. First of all, you have to ensure that you can freeze things. This is a very good book. If I have this book, I can't fail. Hata ikuaje. The 2 books of leadership. Okay, so let me just take you through this very fast change management. Change management, just very, very, very fast. Although I've done most of this. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sharing my screen. Now, Big Bang, I love this. Big Bang, Big Bang, Big Bang, Big Bang, great. And please, for those of you who are getting into very serious positions, before this Mwalimu retires, he would want to become a CEO of one of these big entities before he retires. Okay, great. So I'll talk about that later, but for now, let's first of all pass this exam. So when dealing with change management, there are things you're supposed to be knowing, my friends. For example, we have this POPIT. Have you ever heard of POPIT? Is there somebody who has ever heard of POPIT? POPIT, the POPIT model. POPIT. Anybody who has ever heard of it? There are very many models. I wouldn't be surprised if you haven't heard of it. POPIT. Seems nobody, isn't it? Nobody. So when dealing with change, the following aspects of the organization should be taken into account. So basically, the POPIT model gives us the key aspects that must always be looked at whenever you're talking about change management. You must look at the people. What change effect will this change have on the people? You must look at the organization, especially the structure. You must look at the processes. You must look at information technology. POPIT. So in this case here, this POPIT, basically we are talking of people, organization, processes, and IT. And then they happen to be having what here? This thing. So with the organization, consider the organizational capabilities and structure to ensure that these are what is suitable. Processes, how are the core business processes carried out? Analyze the value chain and understand the processes, activities, and their linkages. People, roles, how will they be affected? Job descriptions, competencies, motivation, rewards, culture, information technology, IT architecture, IT capabilities, control, software, information provision. Where I work for a software company, and mostly this POPIT is a very practical thing where I work. When, for example, a customer buys our software, we have what we call change management. Of course, these guys have not been working without a software. They've been having their own software, right? So now they want to adopt our software. So when we go there, ladies and gentlemen, there are things we ask them, and most of them are basically on this POPIT. Do they have, for example, in this case here, enough skills? People who are skilled enough. If they're not skilled, then are they going to give us people to train? Like now they are, basically I'm like the training manager, right? So the people, because many people buy our software and they're not able to use it totally. And they keep on, in this case here, blaming the vendor. And they're the ones, in this case here, for example, who even never looked at whether they have a capacity in terms of IT. So POPIT is a very important model. It's a very, very important model whenever we talk about what year, whenever we talk about change management. You must look at what processes do you have, all right? Are you able to really handle this thing? Pop it. Very, very important. The organizational structure, what is going to change? I mean, whenever there is change, ladies and gentlemen, these are the kind of things that you must always look at. Even, for example, right now, I'm so sure Kenya, we shall be talking about a referendum to introduce a new constitution. You must look at, for example, the effect of this constitution on people. Do we have, in this case here, for example, you're saying like IBC should be able to give us this everything analysis in terms of, do we have the capacity? What process do we have? So for Pete, I want to believe, ladies and gentlemen, that with that, information that I've given you, when they talk about change management, you'll be hearing that thing of people, IT. You should be able to relate to the structure, etc. Now, from there, ladies and gentlemen, we have another model, which is in your papers. On your papers, you must have seen this model. You must have seen this model before in your past papers. So is there somebody who has ever seen this model? It's called Baldrige model for world-class organizations, for performance excellence. Have you ever seen this in anybody who has ever seen this? Oi, how when you're not looking at your past papers? Then it seems you're not looking at your past papers. Baldrige is very, very popular. Very popular. Very popular. Ah, okay. Barkasavan Impia. No, it's very popular. It's there. Baldrige. It basically, ladies and gentlemen, the model talks about what here? Four key areas. Of course, we have in this case organizational profile, environment, relationships, and strategic situation. Baldrige is quite particular in terms of measuring what you are doing. In terms of measuring what you are doing, if you look at this thing down a little bit, you'll be able to see they're talking of measurement, analysis, and knowledge management. Measurement. We must be able to measure what we are doing. We must be able to really tap onto knowledge, increase the knowledge inside the company here. So then we are looking at four key things. The four key things, we must have a strategic plan. We must, in this case here, focus on our workforce. We must focus on our customers. We must, in this case, ladies and gentlemen, focus on our operations. That's why we have what we call the COO, Chief Operations Officer. Chief Operations Officer, right? And then, of course, leadership has to be there. Once these things are able to speak to each other, you'll be able to get better results. You don't have to cram like, how do we draw this? The most important thing you're supposed to know, ladies and gentlemen, is that Baldrige talks about what here, measuring, analyzing performance of any company. And he emphasized on us focusing on our strategies. Focus on your workforce. Hapana lipa workforce kama machokora. Focus on their motivation. Focus on the company's operations. Focus on the customer. And then ensure that you have got a sober board leadership. You shall be able to get what we call results. It's called Baldrige model for world-class what year organization. This is very, very important. Now, how the model works. So for me, it's basically that you get to appreciate. There is one that I would want here to, not this one. There is one that I would want. Yes. Scope and the nature of change. You must have seen this. Scope and the nature of change. So remember, we have what we call scope of change. Scope of change. So in this case, when you are changing, you can either talk of realigning a little bit, or in this case here, transformation. And then we have in this case here, nature. What kind of change are you having here? Is it an incremental or is it a big bang? Incremental or big bang? Now, ladies and gentlemen, when in this case here we have the nature of change being a big bang, you're changing things totally. And then the scope of change is transformative. We're transforming everything. Then we talk of what here? A revolution. For example, like a revolution in countries. We hope it doesn't come to Kenya. When there's a revolution, we have in this case here a big change, a very, very big change. A very, very big change. A very, very big change. Ladies and gentlemen, when you're just changing slightly, and the scope of change is just realignment, small as well. Then we talk of you being able to do what here to adaptation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please listen, and I would want you to understand this, the scope of change. The scope of change relates to the size of the change and how fundamental it is. For example, if every department were being affected, the scope would be transformational, large. Similarly, if the fundamental nature of the business was being changed, such as moving from being a cost leader to a differentiator, the scope would again be what here? Transformational. The nature of the change deals with speed. You can remember the two quadrants from biological terms. Adaptation means slow. Adaptation means slow, small change you're adapting. Evolution means slow, large changes. Slow, large changes. Because the changes are incremental, these types of changes are relatively low risk, as the change process can be halted or reversed if it's not going on well. Ladies and gentlemen, listen and listen to me. Here we are looking at the speed of what here? Change. And here we're looking at what we call the size of change. Speed of change and then size of change. So speed hapa tunakimbia sana inakuwa big bang. Speed in this case, it could also be just how you running your 30 miles, whatever. You can increase the speed by just one, incremental. So we have here what they have told us, that find the speed could be little, right? If the speed is little and then the change is quite small, we talk of adaptation. If the speed is small, but in this case here, the change is very, very big, transformative, we talk of evolution. You're evolving to something new. So you can remember the top two quadrants from biological terms. Adaptation means slow, small changes. Evolution means slow change, slow but large changes, like that. Now, listen. Revolution is obviously a large, fast change. Kama sasa mseme sasa tunataka kutoa Ruto mara moja. It's a very big change. People are going to die. And when it starts, of course, itaanza mbio kabisa namna hiyo, but people, of course, there is a very high risk of things going wrong. Reconstruction, these we're seeing here, reconstruction, ladies and gentlemen, it's big bang, fast change of limited consequences. Obviously, speed means that things can go wrong, but as the extent of the change is limited, any damage should be limited to relatively few stakeholders, and it should be. So when you look at these things, ladies and gentlemen, I would just want to draw your attention here. We're saying here we have the speed of change. So the speed of change could be small. And the scope, tiny change. So adaptation. The moment I understand, for example, what a revolution is, understand what adaptation is, evolution, even if I forget one or two, I should be able to do what here to at least get this. The most important thing, ladies and gentlemen, as you go to this, especially case questions, you can't recommend like a revolution. No. We would rather, in this case here, first of all, we know there is a lot of changes in the industry. First of all, we try adapting. As we try to adapt, of course, in this case here, later on, we evolve. So we move gradually before we revolve. Remember, this is associated with what I taught you the other day, called what here? Strategic drift. This is where you get this strategic drift. This one here. So you can see, ladies and gentlemen, here, this is the company. What is happening here? The company, or rather the environment, is telling us, hey, you guys need to change. Hey, you guys, after coronavirus, you don't expect, in this case here, things to ever remain the same. So napata kama ni college, ina make just an incremental change. Unanua kamera moja. Tena kidogo wanasahau. Hey, environment na kuvuta wanasahau. Kidogo hapa sawa wanaingia katika flux, kutapatapa hapa na pale. So kutoka hapo sawa wanakuja hapa, here, it is either now there is a big transformational revolution, or in this case here, they do what here, they die. Because now they have drifted. So you can see incremental change, strategic drift. Now they have drifted from the strategy. Here now wanatapatapa kama mkikuyu amedrown. Anaanza kusema kwa maji motidu. Ni tabu. flux. Chances are it's either now when a lot of big change, transformational change, or in this case, they do what they die. Strategic drift occurs when a company does not keep itself properly aligned with its environment and competitors. And so its strategy is no longer appropriate or relevant. The process of strategic drift and its consequences can be illustrated using a number of stages. During incremental change, the company manages to keep up with the environment and matches it fairly closely. Then strategic drift. The strategic drift sets in, either because the environment changes and the company doesn't, or the company changes in an inappropriate way. The most important thing, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you're able to remember this, then you are sorted out somehow. And remember, they can't also ask you like to draw, no. They simply want you to have that language, the language. So is that language, in this case here, something now you can relate with? Somehow, it doesn't have to be perfect, but somehow, after that illustration, after that example, is it something that you can do? I remember again, leadership, nobody would want you to cram. Many thanks. Great. And these guys are not now responding to me at all. I don't know why they're not responding at all. I mean, when they give you any question on change management, at least I want to believe you'll be able to have something to mention. And again, you recommend things that are what here. First of all, adaptation is very clear. It's very, very good. After adaptation, try to do what you to evolve. Don't, in this case, I recommend like a revolution directly. No, you'll die. You'll die. You'll die. You'll die. So Lewis and the Popit, you're looking at the people. You're looking at what, ladies and gentlemen, the processes. You're looking at the IT. You're also looking at what the organization. Just don't make change anyhowly. No, anyhowly. Is there any other model I may have skipped before I tell you what we're going to do next? Somebody boxing me here, Mwalimu Mbono ufunzi LM kutoka the beginning. Mbono ufunzi LM kutoka. I can't teach everything. I can't teach everything. Una kama sasa hii kitu ya 7S's strategy, the McKinsey. Thank you for asking. Let me get the notes very fast. Okay, so gotten them very fast. Little model ambayo unajua inawasumbua kuunderstand, mimi I'll simplify for you. Ile ambayo inawasumbua kuunderstand, hizo ndio zangu mimi. And then what I'll do, I'll direct as follows. I've prepared some 7 videos with 3 case studies, which I would want to give you immediately after this. And then if you don't mind, I know your weekends are crazy, but we should be able to sacrifice, like say tomorrow, even if it's 10 p.m. free of charge, after you guys have gone through the videos. We should be able to sacrifice like an hour. I don't know what time will be appropriate with you. I know like tomorrow's, even myself, my tomorrow's timetable is crazy, but after watching the videos, I would want you guys, we meet. because LM, nobody should fail in leadership and management. Nobody. Alafu itakuwa discussion na yangu utaboeka. A Dakar change management model. Okay, very good. I'll be able to discuss that. Thank you. So tomorrow, it's like guys are in agreement. No, it can't be for 2 hours. No. Just 1 hour. 1 hour is good. Someone to add us to this group? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, here I am live. Alafu mkimaliza mkiingia ISPAC, most of these leadership things mimi niko in charge, mimi nafunza ISPAC accountants most of the times. So mtazipata kwa practical aspect, na mimi wanawafurahisha sana nikiwafunza hawa. Kwanza kwa hiyo element ya training, unajua all of us, ladies and gentlemen, in one way or the other, we are managers. We are managers in one way or the other. So lazima una make sure umetrain wafanyakazi wako. We are managers and employers. Hata kwa nyumba sisi ni employer, sisi wote namna ile. Kisha unapata mama anaogopa ati akitrain maid, ati maid atachukua mzee wake. Ala. So I try to be very practical. I try to be very, very practical when I'm teaching the account, because accountants is vitu. Most accountants don't make very good leaders, and yet, if you look around, most companies really have got a lot of faith in us. If you look around, most CEOs are CPAs. And that's why I would want really you guys to be very good, ensure that in the 7 S's, McKinsey's 7 S's, your style of management is quite soft. Of course, not that soft, but at the end of the day, you have to relate with workers. What kind of style of management are you going to be putting up? So style relates to the leadership and management style within the company. It encompasses the leadership approach, communication patterns, and the overall tone set by top management. The overall tone set up by management is very, very clear. It's very, very good. At this juncture, I would want all of us in this case here to put their cameras on, and I'm very serious on this. I would want everybody to put their cameras on. Please put your cameras on. Please put your cameras on. Everybody. Sorry for being kind of a dictator. Like I can see Winnie there. I can see Rosemary. These guys are not putting their cameras on. I can see Kadzo. Great. But now they have some of them, they're light. I can't see them very well. Idi kumbe wewe hapana kijana vile. Lily, great. I can see Joyce over there. I can see. So I want you guys to do me a favor. Please do me a favor. I want everybody to touch, in this case here, their chin. Please touch your chin. Everybody, please touch your chin. Everybody should touch their chin. I'm not seeing them. Everybody should touch their chin. Gladys, I can't see you touching your chin. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, setting the tone at the top. If managers are, in this case here, unethical, if managers in this case are doing bad things, you are setting a bad tone and everybody is going to follow you. Like in this class, I'm the leader. And because I've told you to touch the chin and I touched mine here, all of you, most of you, about 80% of you, never thought of chin. You know, chin is different. This is the chin. This is the chin. This is the chin. The chin is not this one. Thank you very much. Now you can put off your cameras, but I hope you guys have been able to learn something there. How many of us were able to know that the chin is this one? Be very honest. How many of us were able to know that the chin is this one? I'm so sure you guys know the chin. Hata Kiswahili chini. I'm so sure mnajua. Lakini vile mwalimu alishika hapa, mlifanya namna gani? Mlifuata mwalimu. We shall overcome. That was a very good activity. That was a very good activity. The chick. So we shall overcome. So Naima, we shall overcome. I can see you're following the classes from wherever. Most important thing is that you're following the classes. You're following the class, and I hope you're enjoying. We shall overcome, yes. We shall overcome. So style of management, always set the tone at the top in the right way. That's according to McKinsey. Walking here, and I really sympathize. Like now I have one colleague of mine, student that I taught the other day, say alifungwa miaka nane, ako maximum prison, not maximum, itwaje 8 years, can't remember. Alikuwa anafanya kazi na NHIF. Very serious guy. Unaingia pale wakora na kuambia straight away kwamba hapa iko milioni 50, wewe utakula 10, si tukule ingi au kule ingine. As an accountant, however tempted you are, if you are a senior manager there, please always the tone at the top, the style of management, be very, very ethical. Be very, very ethical. Usikuwe unakuja kazi saa 3, McKinsey wanakataa kabisa hiyo kitu kwa style of management. Wanakataa. So in this case here, of course, set the right tone. You don't have to be like a dictator. People will be following you. Trust you me, most of the times people will follow you as a leader. And that is why you saw when I said in this case here, people touch the chin. All right. In this case here, always, if the leader, you do the wrong thing, you'll always have most of the guys following. It's about the culture that you set yourself. The McKinsey 7Ss, they are very, very good. They're very, very, very good. And then you need to know which one is hard, which one is soft. So if you're taking screenshot, but I'll share this with you. So we have the structure. Structure refers to the organizational design and how various roles, responsibilities, and reporting relationships are arranged. It includes the formal hierarchy, decision-making processes, and the coordination mechanisms. System encompasses the formal and informal procedures, processes, and routines that guide how work is done within the organization. This includes information systems. You'll be able to study that on your own. Shared values, ladies and gentlemen, we are looking at the culture. On a culture kwa county government, some county governments are in this case here zimeoza. Wote tu unapata wanakimbizana hapa na pale. Watu wanakimbizana hapa na pale ni wizi tu. Unajua mahali kuna wizi hata kwa kampuni sababu ya adrenaline, mambo inakuwa mbaya, usharati inakuwa mbaya. Inakuwa mbaya zaidi. So shared values as a company. What kind of culture do we put across? Core beliefs, guiding principles that shape the behavior and decisions of individuals within the company. So, and remember, this is considered, in this case, ladies and gentlemen, soft because you can't touch it. You can't touch it. You can't touch it. You can't touch it. So skills, again, ladies and gentlemen, here you have to look at the competencies, the capabilities of your workers. Please give them these technical skills. It's a strategy that you have. So skills. Style, already I've explained, something to do with style. And then, of course, staff. Staff refers to the human resources within the company, including the number of employees, the capabilities, and alignment of skills, etc. So among us, those 7 S's of McKinsey, which one in this case here will you guys not forget? The 7 S's of McKinsey. The 7 S's of McKinsey. Shared values, I like that. Systems. All right. Staff. Ukienda kwa exam lazima unaongea kuhusu staff sana. Staff, very important. Very important. Shared values. Is there anybody here who works in a company where they will be able to rate them very high in terms of culture, those shared values? Culture is very good. For example, in the morning, even if, for example, they have like morning devotions. I mean, when you look at, for example, like the discipline among us, the staff. Great. So great. Thank you very much. That's very good. Those are good companies. It's good to know. And please, we should be the change agents. We should be the change agents in such kind of organizations. Hata ukienda upate ni kubaya, you be the change agent. We have general business practices. Yes. be the change agent. Be the change agent. For example, unajua kama ni kwa kampuni, once tumeanza kuwork na wewe kampuni moja, watu wa kampuni moja hapana wana, sisi ni bro, sister, like that. Because you, maybe you're the CEO there and you're marrying somebody down junior there, there's a problem. There's a problem. You may not see it, but there is a big, you'll try to make all other arguments, but it doesn't hold water. As a trainer in this industry, that one will tell you it doesn't hold water. Maybe our junior wanafanya cleaning of wale. Lakini hata hivyo, is not very, very good. It's not very, very, something in this case here, you know, there can easily be some collaborations which can go wrong. And that is why I always insist, even in my classroom, I don't want anybody to call me for a wedding komba meona wawili. Yeah, one needs to resign. In government, it's common, it's bad. It's bad. We shall overcome. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to send you the videos. And after I send you the videos, you shall watch them. And then now also in your groups there, in WhatsApp, I expect you guys to do what here. I expect you guys to also send me the models that you would want me to discuss, the ones you're not able to understand very well. Gladys is giving me a very good example there. Of course, there are those exceptions. Like those two, I believe they work very well. There are those exceptions, but in most cases, the ones that I've seen, the consultants have done, those relationships at the workplace, they really affect your performance as a manager. Because if this is your girlfriend, I mean, you'll not be, if she comes in late, they really destroy. Maybe Maybe we shall overcome. So for now, I'm sending you our policy is strict. One has to resign, yes. So I'm sending you those videos. Those videos, play them at a high speed. And then, of course, we shall be meeting tomorrow at what time? At 10 p.m. It is after that class that I'll be able to even pray for you and wish you well. That should be the last class. And it will be free for all the members who are here. It'll be free for all the members who are here. So it's my hope that you have enjoyed the session. And that whatever skills you're getting here shall be helpful even in future. Thank you.